Of course, Arthur.
Yeah.
I say he's a comedy relief character, but I only really pick it up when it's in English. So much easier to figure out that he's comedy in English. Can't wait to hear this in English. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we are back with another episode of Mobile Suit Gundam Seed Destiny. Before anything else, though, we have a couple of comments, both from Fenrir756 from the Patreon. First one from the episode The Soldier's Life. I hope these notes aren't too late. Well, in fact, they sent them literally like midnight last night. So while I was looking for comments, boom, comments appeared. My notes are divided into two halves. One, response to the comments response section, and two, episode-specific notes section. Comments, response, notes. The guy with the orange hair was Rusty, who was the Zaft pilot who was supposed to steal the strike, but got shot in the face by an Earth Forces soldier before Athrun and Kira saw each other. I think I've mentioned Rusty to you a number of times.
Yeah.
Rusty McKenzie.
That guy's yes, Rusty's so important, and he just died.
Well, because he's like one of the main first people that they cry about being dead.
Yeah.
Because you assume he's actually a part of the... He would have been the missing member, essentially, because you have all the guys that are in the background shooting at them, trying to get them an opening to go steal the Gundams. He would have been an extra member of the Le Creuset team had he not died. Also, I think I mentioned that I think he's the one that gets into a fight with the character from Astray, the Junker one, because he's there at Heliopolis. No, sorry, he's the one that gets in a fight with the mercenary guy, because he's there at Heliopolis when the other guy is getting a Gundam or whatever.
Yeah.
All other coordinators except for Kira are born from their mother naturally after having their genes operated on.
Yeah, we talked about that. The one thing that makes Kira...
Well, I mean, this is actually incorrect. Can you be as pedantic as me, Lessons? Can you figure out why this is wrong?
I mean, Mula Flaga wasn't a coordinator.
No, he wasn't.
His clone was?
No, Mula Flaga doesn't have a clone that we're aware of.
Her father's clone.
Whose name was...
Something La Flaga. Well,
nope.
It was LaRouche. Yeah.
Nope, that's also wrong. I think you're thinking of a Gundam character, actually. Mobile Suit Gundam. Universe-centric character. No, Rao Lacrest.
Lacrest, yeah.
Yeah. Was a coordinator, not naturally born. As we saw, because Habiki shows up. Anyway, technically correct is the best kind of correct. Possessing the seed factor is completely independent. Possessing the seed factor is completely independent of being a coordinator.
Do we really have any evidence other than Kigali that
we don't?
These
are the elements that make me worried that maybe to the previous thing that Fenrir said that I had to just didn't say. Where is Fenrir going to drift into a spoiler?
Yeah.
Am I going to be halfway through reading a thing and realize, oh, stop, mouth? I said in prison once. Kira rescued Kigali after learning from Kigali's servant. By the way, they're saying servant. It's the character from Season 1 that was so happy to see Kigali, put her in her dress again, etc. About how the Sirens were pressuring her and that Kigali did not have anyone around to support her or speak on her behalf. So, whether her decision to get married to Yuna was truly hers or the product of manipulation and emotional coercion should be taken into account when discussing whether Kira was right in rescuing her.
Yes, but with an asterisk.
Well, I mean, consent is king. Did he ask her at all? Was there any communication involved? I think when it comes to kidnapping, I mean...
Yeah.
Orb was founded on the specific principles which included a position of neutrality and non-intervention in the conflicts of other nations, and allowed anyone to live there regardless of their status as a coordinator or natural. In the world of Gundam seed, having a nation that has such principles and is willing to fight for them is something that is very important and should be fought for. In response to Theta's argument that the Athas should have given in to the Atlantic Federation in Season 1 to protect their citizens, I have two responses. And much like I do with Lessons, I'm going to preempt you because you don't have a voice until I give you one. Not you, Lessons, I'm talking about the comment. I didn't say that he should have. I was saying that there is an argument to be made for, God, what is his name? The Elder Siren? Unato? Unato, sorry,
Yeah.
I have the board off on the side screen before we bring it up here. Yeah, Unato making the argument that we need to do what's best for the citizens, and the citizens not being attacked and dead is probably a good starting point. I remember... see, here's a bad thing about having a bad memory. I remember pointing out that was a more valid argument than what Yuna was bullying Kigali during the meeting, and that you should take the point of view that you need to put the priority of the safety of your citizens first before everything else. And I guess maybe you could stretch that out to say that I would say the principles that you form the country on should also come secondary to the safety of the citizens. Anyway,
I suppose.
Point one.
But then you... No,
go ahead.
Well, yeah, but then that can become a slippery slope. It's like, well, everything I do is for the good of the citizens, when in fact,
here's the thing. You can make the argument that your principles and morality and everything is a living thing, and that it breathes, it evolves. It is something that needs to be kept alive, but it's not actually alive, like the people who support it or don't support it. Living people have priority over concepts, in my opinion. Sorry, my brain was going off into a whole tangent about real-world politics, and don't go there.
Yeah, continue.
Azumi clearly states that if they side with the Atlantic Federation, then Zaft would invade and attempt to destroy Orb, and their citizens would suffer regardless. Cool. I mean, that's something he says. It's not proven to be true because it didn't happen.
Oh, it hasn't happened yet.
Well, it's not going to happen now. Well, could be, except that this exact situation's happening now, and Zaft hasn't invaded. But then again, this is a past thing. We're talking about the first season. So it hasn't happened yet because time has moved forwards, as it does typically.
Yes.
But, yeah, whatever. 2, I apologize ahead of time if the second point comes off especially harsh, but it was the clearest example I could think of. They're about to do something that we try to avoid constantly. The idea that a nation should be willing to sacrifice any/all of its principles if a powerful neighbor threatens just to protect as many of its citizens as possible would be analogous to telling Britain in World War II, before the US entered the war, that they should have given in to the Nazis and stopped fighting/resisting to ensure the general well-being of its citizens.
I mean, that was kind of an argument that was floated, but Britain didn't follow it. You can always argue that. I mean, in hindsight, the problem is that we know how harsh the fascists were on occupied territories. So, we just, again, that's an argument I made. Do you save your citizens now, but then expose them to repression, oppression, and possibly even genocide? Because remember, they are coordinators. Yuna says himself, there's coordinators in Orb, and they're a problem that need to be taken care of, because he knows that the alliance is basically being run, or it's running on the principles of Blue Cosmos. They want to eliminate coordinators, and they made it pretty clear that their attack on plants wasn't just to destroy to take over, destroy their military capacity. It was just to obliterate them, right? To kill them outright with nuclear weapons. So, that's the choice. Do we Do we fight now and hope that we can win or save as many of our citizens now as it happened before? Or do we give in and hope that either we can form a resistance later or change resist from within, or that the occupiers will be lenient with us?
I think the argument is disingenuous from the concept that it suggests that the debate shouldn't be had, right? Because I feel like it comes from a position that says, of course you wouldn't suggest that, as though you can't have the internal discussion of how many more people would be saved if we spent the knee rather than fought to the death, right? Because the concept is the safety of your people is at stake. And I know that there's never a good example of how many people do we sacrifice to ensure that the rest of us are safe, right? That is, I typically only see that in like sci-fi. You know, the aliens come down, say, give us this many of your people or we'll kill all of you. It's like that sort of thing. But you should still entertain the discussion just in case. I'm of the mind that nothing should be off the table when you're having a discussion that involves the safety and security of everyone.
I mean, yeah, but I think the problem here is that you kind of do have an example of how far the alliance is willing to go, or the Federation in this case. I keep saying alliance, but
well, here's the difficulty here is that we're using or as the commenter has said, we're using a real historical example where you can imagine how horrible things would get. To, I guess, the credit of Blue Cosmos, haven't seen a lot of camps.
No, they don't have. They haven't gotten their hands on coordinators, but they have assassinated and killed them.
We've discussed before what happened to the coordinator refugees of Orb.
Yeah, but I think they went to the plant. So
you have no idea how many people got left behind who didn't get to evacuate.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. We have no idea what happened to, every coordinator that used to live there.
Or maybe they didn't get the chance because the war lasted a couple of more months. So, that might have been a future plan.
I'm just saying that if you invoke World War II, there's a lot your imagination can do to figure out what would happen versus what actually happens here in a fictional world where you have to create the evil yourself in your mind. Because you haven't seen the evidence. We know what they're going to... It's easier to do something on a massive scale, say, nuking a plant, because it's extremely impersonal. It's push a button, thing goes off, millions are dead, you don't even see it. It's not even a thought in your head. It's literally shoot at target. Versus the very personal level of going house to house, figuring out who's a coordinator, rounding them up, bringing them to a place, standing guard over them, etc., etc. There's a lot more involved there that you have to be willing to put on screen versus this very easy cost-saving animation of firing a missile. All right. When Athrun joined the Zaft Special Force in Season 1, that was technically Faith, but they did not call it that in Season 1, and he never received the special badge.
Yeah. Still, the fact that there's a sort of Spectre-like, if you know Mass Effect, a Spectre-like organization within Zaft is something of particular note.
Well, I mean, I mentioned before that he used to be a member of Faith, so... Eurasia is technically at war with Zaft now as a part of the Earth Alliance.
But they're also resisting calls to join the war, apparently.
Not all of Eurasia. I think you're thinking about Scandinavia.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that's a part of the comment response, because that was still in the comment response. I don't know what we said about Eurasia.
No, I think we were talking about, there was a fact that there was a country, we don't know what the country is, which is we're told that the Federation was repressing and forcing Eurasia to cooperate, and there was resistance within it, including a specific country somewhere in Eurasia. And but we didn't know which one, right? So there's that.
Sorry, sometimes I'm just trying to figure out what you're looking at by the reflection in your glasses.
Okay.
Just a giant white screen, but it's like, I don't see any, it's not scrolling. What the hell are they looking at? Episode response notes. Mir's performance style is very different from Lacus's original performance style and is much more pop/rock.
The two mechanics comment on that they actually liked it better.
Mm-hmm. They also comment on her dress is different.
Mm-hmm. Which we have noted in the past.
Well, because her, it shows her off more like the opening of the show does.
I mean, it's clearly designed both for the audience in universe and the audience, us. Fan service. It's more fan service.
Well, I just mean like when people are naked in the opening and the boobs just zero gravity floating around. That's what Mir's outfit does. One thing I don't believe both of you have really picked up on is how Shin is driven more by emotion than logic, and that how his personality is interacting with his trauma is different. Sorry, there's certain words that I feel are missing for the sentence that are fucking me up. One thing I don't believe both of you have really picked up on is how Shin is driven more by emotion than logic, and that how his personality is interacting with his trauma is influencing his actions. Remember, although Shin says the Athas killed his family and constantly was angry at Kigali for being so idealistic and not seeing how the world really was, Shin was also extremely angry that Orb effectively joined the Earth Alliance, and in response to that, threatened to destroy it as a country, even though if Shin was being logical, that would be the better choice to protect Orb's citizens from suffering the same fate as his family. Shin's rage and anger at the Athas is an irrational response driven by the grief and anger of the loss of his family, and he has not really tried to work through his grief and try to understand how and why it happened, but is instead lashing out and trying to prevent something like that from repeating. Even if you disagree with my conclusion, I believe you will agree after seeing more of Shin in future episodes, you will agree.
I mean, I agree right now. I think we both agree. We just said, even though that is a emotionally driven response, and I have a note about that, it's not necessarily right? That's the discussion.
I mean, I feel like the comment is emotionally driven too. Especially with that dead end right there of, you'll see more in the future, which, by the way, seems spoilery. You see, Shin will act just like this or worse. Don't say that. Also, never waggle a finger, that's weird. No, you did. Anyway, I mean, he's emotional, so what?
I mean, it's not like we haven't seen that scene over and over and over again of his family, or what was left of his family, splattered, bleeding over the side of the hill, down the hill. So
I mean, he has a reason at the very least, unlike most characters who just get real emotional for no reason.
Now the question is, what happened to the Shin that said, "Why are you trying to start this war over again? So the fighting over again?" Because that Shin that looked emotional, yes, but also reasonable. It's like, don't do this. This is going to lead to horrors. That Shin seems to have just disappeared. It's like, I'm just mad.
That's the difference between focused and flustered, I feel like. With Athrun, he has been very flustered. Like, he knows what he feels, but not how to say it. Versus Kigali, it's like, I've been practicing this speech to the day I would meet you, and here you are. And that's why it's very focused, and he knows exactly what to say and how to say it. Still emotionally driven.
For maximum emotional damage.
Mm-hmm.
Emotional damage?
I don't think that was a good impression.
No, I know.
I recommend putting a pin in Athrun's conversation with Shin at the end of this episode, especially the part about Shin's self-righteousness and Athrun's statement, but at the moment you get that power, you become the one who makes others cry, and use that as a lens to examine Shin's actions in the future to see if this is an accurate assessment and whether Shin actually listened to what Athrun was saying and processed it. It could make for a very useful discussion topic in multiple future episodes.
Thank you.
Sorry, there's a part of me, it's like the 2/3 of that comment was great. The allusion to, you could talk about this multiple times in the future, that's hinting. Don't hint.
Well, I do have a comment about that, but it's more centered on Athrun himself.
All right. Next up, though, the other Fenrir 756 comment, which also from the Patreon, from the episode Attack the Lohengrin. Notes for this episode. Shin's immaturity is a very important aspect of his character, and I would always consider how this affects how Shin interacts with others and how it affects the perspective with which he views other characters.
Yeah, he gets called out by Marin. Like, even he says, even I called him out as being immature.
You mean Luna Maria? Yeah, Luna Maria.
No,
Luna Maria says it in front of the elevator. And she goes, did he just blow me off?
No, the calling out was Luna Maria and Marin there in the shower. It's a shower scene where we see Luna Maria taking a shower, and Marin is trying to get his sister's skirt on, and she can't because it's too small. And she gets angry about that, which I do have a comment about that. A couple of them.
She
says,
everyone keep on your seats for Lesson's multiple comments about the shower scene.
No, not the shower scene.
Edge of your seat stuff.
Yeah, that's dangerous. Anyway, and one of the things she says is like, even I called him, think he's being immature, right? And that's Miriam saying that, not Luna Maria. She's saying that when Luna Maria's, taking the shower, is in the shower, right? It's like, and she's like, this won't fit, kind of thing. So, yeah, I remember that part.
This is a different desert area from Gundam Seed, which was in Libya, and this area is the northeastern corner of Egypt using our maps.
The Geth Desert, I think it is. Yeah, I think.
I think they're just misinterpreting my comment about Desert Rose and Sahib showing up, because I was just making comments about the fact that this is Africa, and that's where Sahib and them were.
Yeah, this is actually not Africa. This is what we call the Middle East, either in the Geth Desert, because they're not in the Suez part of things. If they were in the Suez,
I assume that they were more towards the Egypt side, which would just be
in the West. That would be Africa.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I think actually they were not in the Suez side. They were in the European side, Euro-Asian side. If I interpret the map correctly.
I mean, you're probably right, because the map shows 3 different zaft bases that are essentially nearest the Red Sea, I want to say.
Well, they point to Gibraltar, which is the Pillars of Hercules, and basically Spain, right? Southern Spain.
Right, but that's not part of the conglomerate of bases.
Yeah. No, that's a SAF base.
No, I'm saying that's not part of the conglomerate of bases. Gibraltar is like over here, and they got 3 bases over here, and now they're saying that's why they're not able to really pressure us, and they point to like a triangle of bases that they've got to the east of the Suez Canal.
Suez is controlled by the Federation, and then the base in which Minerva is at would be in Kuwait or southern Iran, like in that triangle between what today would be Iraq.
I believe that Kuwait, I made these comments when they were showing the world map and their path that they were going, not when they showed where all these bases were.
Mm-hmm. So, because the path I have to again comment on, which you probably may agree with, when I talk about the whole fighting, the cannon thing and all that. So basically, it's 2 bases, and then they have to essentially eliminate the presence in the Suez Canal, because it can either attack one or the other, and their thing is that they're going to use that base to attack the one on the Persian or Arabian Gulf, which is, depending who you talk to, it's a different name, which is where the Minerva is right now, or deploys from, and then from there, once they can do that, they secure their rear areas and attack Gibraltar. So,
I mean, I don't have to disagree. That was literally what the base commander said was their plan. I mean, their plan being the Alliance's plan.
But they were saying also, it's like, oh, we're playing a defensive war. So, the whole politics of, well, the council hasn't authorized a orbital strike, which would be the best way to do it. You just send, attack from skies directly, but they're not authorizing.
That's what they said they would have done in the last war.
Yeah. So
they're in a defensive war because they very specifically have made the point we're not taking territory.
And yet
they are on a mission to take territory. Yes.
Oh, so that's the last comment, or
no? I mean, that we're responding to these a line at a time. So that was Ray hugging Durandal.
A Ray? Oh yeah,
and the next time on, which I don't know why that's worthy of making a note here.
Oh yeah, because we weren't sure who it was, whether it was Ray or it was Gladys, Captain Gladys. It was like, oh, there's a blonde.
So that means that this is an even worse comment. That we haven't even gotten there yet, and you're telling us information. That is a spoiler. We were actively interested in finding out, and you've ruined that. Fenrir, I've got to vet your comments. Fun fact, the voice actor for Lacus was the voice actor for Elenice Dragon Road in Mushoku Tensei. Another fun fact, she also voiced I don't know this name, Kyra Seshuin in Fate/Extra CCC and Fate Grand Order. And I would love to see both of your reactions to her noble phantasm in Fate/Extra CCC, especially since it is so unlike Lacus in every way. If you consider doing it, Theta, I recommend you screen it first before showing it to lessons and write down your reactions as notes first, or do it as a standalone video and then decide what you want to do with it.
Okay, that sounds...
I guess it's going to be sexual or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
For one thing, though, that we're currently watching Fate, so I don't think I can just jump there out of turn. Unless Fate/Extra is a game, in which case, I don't know. The thing is I don't want to do spoil. I know you're super interested in telling us spoilers, but I don't want to spoil our watch through of Fate, even though it goes at a month at a time. It's just something. I don't know. I guess something to look out for now, even though, not for nothing, this is not going to occupy any part of my brain to remember. Specifically, only here's the thing. The one concern that sits in my head now is that there's a character in this show that appears in another show, and I feel like that would be a reveal too. Like if there's a character in Fate Zero that shows up in Fate Stay Night, that would be a thing, right? That'd be like, oh, hey, they're back. That would be a reveal.
Yeah.
Well, now I know this character shows up in 2, so it's like, I don't know what to do with that. Best thing I can do, I think, is forget. Elenice Dragon Road is a character, by the way, who's cursed to be promiscuous, let's say. If she doesn't have sex a certain number of times a day, she'll die.
Oh. That's interesting.
Yeah.
You gotta pump that mana, I guess.
Well, technically, that's how they tried to break it. Like in season 2, a group of characters makes a what do you call it?
Ocean?
No. Like you wear it. The word's not coming to me.
Chastity belt?
Yeah, they make a chastity belt, and the thing is that the main character Rudy has to like pump it full of mana. So the more mana he puts into it, the longer it'll last. Because he has to go on a long journey with her, and he's leaving his pregnant wife behind, and
he doesn't want to.
Elenice also has like a guy she's going to marry when she gets back. So they're trying really hard to make this work. But the idea is that I guess she also puts out pheromones or something. Because Rudy is like in a tent with her, and he's like, oh, reaching for her, and then he comes to his senses and he goes outside. And unfortunately, he goes outside. There's a succubus outside, so it's like, actually, maybe it was the succubus doing it. I don't know. The idea that he was just like going crazy for a second. But yeah, no. She's a character.
Yeah.
Well, she actually kind of is Rudy's grandma. Was also.
Ooh.
Well, because she's an elf, she's around for a long time. She's had this curse for a long time too, but apparently the elves aren't easy for them to have kids. So she actually is Rudius's wife's grandma. So grandma-in-law, I guess, in that respect. Rudius's wife's dad was her son, as you find out also in season 2. So
yeah, wow, that's a lot of kids.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. It's not a lot of kids because apparently it's the only one that we know of that she's had in a very long time. Because Sylphette also tells Rudy, "Hey, I might not be able to have kids. It's really hard for us to have kids," and because that was a concern for him. I mean, a concern for them because she thought he might want kids and that she might not be able to have kids. So Machine Tensei goes between the pervy stuff and the serious, like adult stuff, like heavy depression, erectile dysfunction, blah 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 blah. I have your panties in my pockets ever since I was a kid because I worship you.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, it's a very serious show. It just they dot it with stuff to keep you like not super sad all the time.
Yeah. Panties in pockets. That's an old one actually, but still.
Well, because I think the thing to remember is also an isekai where he's born into the new world, but he has all the memories of being a 34-year-old guy from before.
Yeah.
So he was like playing those like hentai games and shit like that. So he came into the world a pervert and has actually become more mature as time has gone on. Anyway, we have a board somewhere.
Have a board. Here comes the board. I mean, could we consider the Archangel its own faction by now?
I'm gonna say no, only with the sentiment that I think they're going to align with somebody at some point. The only reason they're really in the unknown territory is that we didn't know what the fuck they were doing until they revealed that the Freedom and the Archangel were still there.
Reza Bureau. Yeah, we got the base commander, Joaquin Rudel. What's his pilot? Hein Westenfluss? Are they in Minerva?
Well, what do the lines attach them to?
None.
Well, then you have as much idea as I do.
Yeah.
When in doubt, follow the lines.
Nothing new in Orb. I mean, nothing except for that one. And the base commander and the rebel fighter, the 3 characters that got introduced in the last 2 episodes.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, the board's really just a game of can lessons notice what's changed.
Yeah.
All right, then. I guess to the notes, which you've got so much more than me, so I guess you should start.
Oh, okay. Start with Soldier's Life, Phase 17. I wonder how long Lacus has known about Mir. She clearly is not surprised when the crew of the Archangel sees her on the screens. And also how she doesn't seem to be, she seems to be a little bothered by it, but not excessively so. In fact, it seems that it's Kira who's more bothered by it. It's like, yeah, no, we think that Durando's a good guy. And he's like, no, somebody pulls up a stunt like this, not a good guy in my books. Cloning my girlfriend is not a thing I'm happy with.
I disagree with you on the Lacus point. I don't think she knows Mir. Also, I think she was bothered by it. I think she's bothered by it in the biting my lip and not saying anything way. Because look, the camera goes over to her and she's like, she's not saying anything. She looks unhappy.
Yeah, but I don't say that she doesn't necessarily know that who this person is, but she clearly knows. Everybody knows that that's not Lacus, because Lacus is right there. It's like, oh, there's somebody impersonating Lacus, right? It's like, okay.
That's I guess that I'm confused because you made it sound like you were implying that Lacus knew Mir, and I'm saying I don't think so.
No, it might turn out that she, Mir might have been like an understudy of hers or something in the future, right? Something like that.
I think Mir's just a fangirl.
Yeah, or a fangirl, right?
That doesn't know Lacus personally at all. Like, she's somebody who stood outside of a Britney Spears concert a couple of times.
She's the flower girl of the series, except she actually does something.
I don't think Flower Girl wants to be Basara.
I'm talking about being a fan. It's always been a fan. You mentioned being outside Britney Spears concert.
Yeah, no. I'm talking more like, oh fuck, what's the name of the song? I can't remember the name of the song either. The Eminem song, Stan. More like Stan, but not with the I'm gonna kill myself and my girlfriend part.
Yeah,
maybe.
Hopefully.
All right, my first note. I could go to the one that sounds a lot like yours, but I'm going to not. I'm just going to say my first stupider one first. I like Mir, despite all your suspicions of her. Last episode, the song she sang was called Quiet Night, Cosmic Era 73. I looked it up because I actually quite enjoyed
it. Yeah, but I would like her if she seemed to be an innocent bystander. But I think she's very much in cahoots with Durandal and knows exactly what she's doing.
See, as always, my affection doesn't require you to be a good guy.
I'm not saying it's a bad character.
If Sybil started singing, I wouldn't dislike Sybil songs any less, or more, or whatever version is the benefit one.
Oh, yeah. So, there you go. So my second comment, and this one is a big one. Interesting that in the conversation between the mechanics, and there's the two mechanics, other people, and I will mention other people as well, they say that Lacus is still Arthur's fiancé, meaning that his relationship with Cagalli, at least in the plans, is not widely known. Even though other people in the crew of the Minerva figured out the moment the two boarded the Minerva.
So I'm just going to say mine real quick. Mm-hmm. So the word is that Athrun is still Lacus' fiancé somehow, according to our maintenance guys on the Minerva. I mean, that's what their relationship was before the last war, but you'd think Lacus' defection and Siegel's death and all that stuff would have gotten around as gossip at least. It just seems odd that the relationship lives on in the public eye.
Well, I mean, if you can... Her defection might not be as public as... Well, yeah,
it was public because literally there was like wanted signs and announcements. Yeah. Remember, she was making, I don't know if this was in the movie or not, she was making her announcements about the war, and Patrick was giving speeches about capturing her and how she turned against them.
Yeah. Which is another thing because, again, having the fake Lacus Mir essentially be on the side of Durandal is a sign that that faction, at least publicly speaking, backs Durandal, right? So anybody who is sympathetic to what and makes Durandal look more like, again, the one who wants peace and not trying, he's not wants war, he wants peace. Look at me, I'm I'm siding with the people who wanted to stop the war the last time. I'm not part of the Salo faction, etc. How do you know? Because Mir is, Lacus, it's on my side.
I'm just going to move on to my next comment because the follow-up to what you're saying, I feel it comes at the end of my next comment, and I don't want to just, spoil that one for... Anyway, because it also goes back to your first comment. So Marius considers the actions of Durandal after the fall of Janus 7 to be completely in the right, finding it hard to label him as a bad person by any stretch of the imagination. Kira is the one putting Mir and the attempt to assassinate Lacus together into not trusting Durandal. I guess my worry with this is that Durandal felt like he was a multifaceted individual as we started the season, and now with the introduction of Kira, our old main character, we might be going down the Jesus route of everything he says is true. So it doesn't matter what gambit Durandal might be playing, if he is in fact the one responsible for everything, because Kira is here. Kira, who can never be wrong. I just don't want the political intrigue and master planning to go out the window to let's just do what the main character says.
Yeah, although I don't think they're positioning Kira necessarily as the main character Redux. I think that's still Chin and in many ways Arthur.
I don't think you can lose the authority as because basically we were guessing what's Durandal up to. How does this part of it, if this is part of his plan, how does that affect this other thing that it seems like he's doing? How's that thing he did in the past affect how he's trying to manipulate Atherin now? So many levels. That's why I say he's a multifaceted individual, that it's more fun to try and figure out what he's doing than it is to see Kira get into a fight with a mobile suit, in my opinion. Again, I've always been the one who's been like, I'd like to see a Gundam show with no Gundams in it. So I'm on that level. But Kira showing up and just instantly saying, that Durandal, he's no good. We better get Durandal. And suddenly I feel like, well, I guess all the political machinations are out the window. Kira said Durandal's bad. Everyone's going to think Durandal's bad. No more fun can be had.
I mean, Kira just basically said what I've been saying for some time, so I guess I can not.
You've also had God's eye, essentially, right? Because we've had the show's vision, which puts us into places where nobody's at, or, face up into Durandal when he's smiling. Kira is just, we got attacked. There's a fake Lacus up there. Durandal's behind it.
I mean, he's working with the evidence that he has on hand.
Again, but he's taking limited information and not the massive narrator-sized spoiler information that we've got by his comparison.
Yeah,
I just don't like it.
And they're messing with his girlfriend, so I guess that's why he's going like, that's.
I'm just saying that given the amount of episodes we have, and again, I have no clear idea what's going to happen in the future, so maybe they need all those episodes. I would have just rather this seems weird, and then the other guy's being like, yeah, we should investigate this and find out what's going on, because I would like to know more than act.
I mean, they didn't act; they're just listening and
but the information is that Kira's the main character, so the show's going to follow what he did.
Yeah. My third note: Marion Hawk appears to be concerned about her figure. Could it be that she has a crush on someone aboard the ship? I have a follow-up to that, but I'll let you first.
Let's go ahead and skip ahead and just do all of this all together. I'll say my next one, and then you can do your crush one, and then we can discuss it all together. No clue what's up with the Mirren. She's patting her belly and trying on skirts that don't seem to fit her anymore. Shot in the dark, she's pregnant with Ray's kid. Ray is always quiet in the background. I know we suspect that there's something going on with him and Durandal. This would just be some extra drama to cook up before we get there.
Yeah, he snuck one in. Yeah, I actually have pulled back from that because I have another. I guess I'll do my follow-up.
Combine them all together. Why not? Let's get them all in.
Yeah. In the scene in the showers, again, Marion seems to have an issue with her weight as she seems to be trying Luna Maria's skirt and failing. They're also talking about Atherin, so it may well be that she has a crush on him as well. So I think it's more of these are sisters and they're competing for the same crush kind of thing. Like, oh, clearly my sister has an eye on Atherin, and I have an Atherin, and I can't compare myself with my sister. Right, I'm losing because there's the other comment they were before was that she had this, not a bag. She had like one of those, carry-alls for a lot of things, and they looked like they were beauty products, like creams and stuff like that. And sister's like, well, you don't need all that. Oh, well, we don't know when we're gonna be shopping next, right? Like she basically was like, I'm gonna use all these creams to look myself like nice, my skin and all that, right? I think that's what she's aiming up for. Yes, she could be pregnant. That's a possibility, but I think it's more of...
I had forgot to do so. I was going to try and see if I could figure out the names of anything that she had in her
carrying case, carrying basket,
hand cart.
Shopping
I
basket.
guess no, it's not a hand cart either. When
It's
you
a
walk into the
shopping
store
basket.
and you're
It's a
like, I
shopping
don't need a
basket.
shopping cart. I just can grab one of these. And it's like, okay,
It's a shopping basket. It's a basket.
all the
Shopping
years of retail just out of my head.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Because there was one very specific, like, white package. Oh, God.
Mhm.
White packaging. That is also pregnancy tests. I still could be right. However, the letters KY are coming into my head. Also could be right about Ray. She's a little dry down there. Or Ray's packing. One of those two.
I mean, coordinated. You know what? Never mind. I'm not going to go
Superman.
there. Yeah, Superman. More way than one. Your next point?
CPU Biochemistry Maintenance Team B had to work on replacing Zaku's brainstem cooling system. What the fuck does that mean? Last season, our 3 artificial coordinator types were called living CPUs needed for operating the Gundams they were supplied with. Could the Zakus be Zakus be an evolution of that? Instead of making people, they made a living computer brain inside the Zakus themselves, kind of like Ian Dalton in Iron-Blooded Orphans, or the bio-neural gel of the Voyager in Star Trek.
Could be. Or it could be simply a way of... they may have the structure of how the Gundam is controlled, because it's humanoid, might have like a spine or something like that.
Biochemistry team for the Zaku's brain stem. That's more than just, there's something there. Again, there's the element that they literally called the 3 guys from season 1 living computers, and then there was a bunch of stats that I read out back then that I don't remember, and we didn't bring up during the movie, so I don't quite remember everything. I just very fixated on the fact they were living CPUs. Now the Zaku has a brainstem that requires biochemistry and a cooling system. Something is there. I expected it to be some sort of massive reveal about it, that this is like step 1 in the clues.
Stepping away from Marin, because we finished with that. A direct attack on the positron cannon, even with the consul's prohibition on spaceborne attacks, is still foolish. The only reason why it would make sense to attack directly is to create a link between the local rebel forces and SAF. We do see Durandal playing chess while this is being explained. And
I was saying the entire episode that this was dumb. I think it was my only comment I made really during the episode was how dumb the front-on attack is. You know what? In fact, I'll just read my comment here too, and then you can explain Durandal playing chess. The cannon in a canyon still seems like a complete waste of time. For one thing, the cannon only fires in a 90-degree arc with a shell blocking it from the other direction. Like, it can only fire in one direction down the canyon. If anyone attacked it from the other way, it'd be screwed. I think I said this during the reaction as well. So much of our stuff can fly. Attack it from behind. Honestly, last episode was the worst episode so far. Almost a solid 10 minutes of Shin complaining.
I got a note about that. I'll jump to Attack on Lundgren, because I do have a note on that.
So you were in that because you just made a comment about the Lundgren.
Yeah, no, but I'll talk about the planning, because they do the plan in one episode and then the attack on the next one.
Well, actually, I think the planning takes place in the second episode.
The briefing.
They talk about the bases and everything in the first episode, and then they do the planning for the attack. Because that's where I'm on. More Shin complaining. It's the worst Shin episode, but it's overall, I feel like, the worst episode so far.
It's not properly explained, but I think, and this is my opinion, that the real risk of the positron cannon was not to SAF, but to the village itself, since they cannot get supplies or trade overland with Alliance forces dominating the area south of them. But since we don't have that explanation, the whole thing doesn't really make sense, other than a way to clear the area of Alliance forces and expand SAF's influence in the area.
So 2 things. real quick, because this is a thought that I had, but I didn't make a note about. It's not really a threat to... Well, it's a threat from Zaft's side, because if they miss the cannon while they're attacking it, they imply that the town is literally right behind it. As they say, take a careful aim. You don't want to be bombarding the town behind it. But also, the town is oceanside. So, behind it, there's literally... Not ocean, obviously, sea. There's a sea right behind it. So, literally, there's port traffic entirely capable.
Yeah, but apparently, if the Alliance controls the ports and probably controls the waters beyond that, then you always have to.
Right, but you're not going to, because they're actually planning to use it, because apparently it's a whole power plant there. Because, for one, we can see it on the backside, because there's like 3 long pylon things building into the back of the cannon from the town. But they're also powering other stuff for that place. So it's an important Alliance military site. Maybe they're not importing stuff to the town, but they are importing stuff.
Yeah. So, well, if the Alliance controls that and Staff doesn't, then, again, they're completely under the control of the Alliance. And basically, this town is,
Well, we know they are, because last time the Zaft attacked, they showed us that the people got, like, beaten and captured and tortured by the Alliance. That's why it was so important that Zaft liberated them. But again, my point being is that we saw those, like, 3 pylons from the power plant literally fly the impulse around, pinpoint attack. Now the thing has no power, march on through.
Yeah.
It was a whole episode about this one stupid attack that didn't need to be had.
Yeah. Going back to what I was saying, because there's a brief scene cut while they're describing this, where Durandal is sitting. I don't know if he's sitting at his usual
he is.
Side of the
From
desk.
a different angle, but the same room.
Yeah.
Every time they talk about Durandal and they pan to Durandal, who's in a dark room with that weird mosaic thing behind him. Same room.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't know if he was sitting on which side of it was sitting, because he apparently, to me, he seemed like he had moved the chair around and he was playing.
I think it's on his normal side, because it looked like the table was concave to our vision, which would be the same side that we normally look, not the opposite side from where we normally see him. So we're looking at him from behind, where we normally look at him from forwards, and the other concave.
And
side.
as they're describing that, Captain Gladys says, "Oh, by the way, what is he talking? What is he up to?" And he's moving a chess piece. I believe it's a.
Well, she says, "I wonder what mastermind came up with this plan." And we pan over to Durandal, and she says, "Oh well, we'll just do our best to do whatever."
Yeah. And to me, again, reinforces that this has actually little to do with the overall plan that Randall has is that he wants to position Zaft, and by extension the coordinators, as the liberators of Earth and humanity, right? We're helping people, right? We're not. I mean, we're only doing offensive operations to liberate and help people that don't want to be in the Federation. We're not really attacking the Federation directly. We're defending our bases. But if somebody doesn't want to be in the Federation, they have a freedom to do so, and we're going to support their.
I mean,
and
that's
also because
a weird.
Going back to what Lacus, because Lacus actually says, like, "Oh, wasn't this really a war against the plants?" And all the things that we've heard are about the problems the Federation is having.
It's funny. That's what I was saying. It's weird because you're using this conversation for that, but I wasn't going to go back to Lacus. I was going to go back to Marius. Marius says that, everything Durandal's been doing, helping these people, holding back when he could be going on full-scale attack, blah, 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 blah. Those are all the things that she says imply that he's not a bad guy by any stretch of the imagination. And she's listing off how he's helping the people of Earth.
Yeah. And then Lacus says, wasn't this war against, the plants? Why there's no movement against the plants if that's the war is supposed to be about?
Well, they're talking about what's on the news. The news isn't covering this stuff. It's weird that the Earth news is covering how bad the Alliance is doing, and nothing about the war.
So, there's that. Your next comment?
I still find it crazy that when the Minerva makes it to port and Athrun gets introduced, the whisperings are that he was in the Le Creuset team. Not that he was Patrick Zala's son, but that he worked under Rao. I have no idea why that would be more important to anyone. I like Rao, had myself drawn as him, Rao has the success record of Char, though. Few and far between. No clue why, past the end of the war, anyone would be marveling about Atherin's association with Rao, other than maybe he survived. Because there's only 3 survivors on the Crusette team. But there were other teams out there, so it's not like it was the only team either. Because, like, in Season 1, we get told when Atherin and Rao get called back to answer for the Heliopolis incident, that another team was out in the area. So,
yeah, no notes on that one. I'm gonna do my own next one. This is my final note for the soldier's life, which is the discussion that they have in atop the Minerva. She needed talking to by Atherin. But what will happen when Atherin, given the power of the savior, decides to do what is right in spite of his orders? After all, he defected from zaft and went against his father's wishes once, doing what he thought was right. Can he or will he do that again? Or will he follow orders, fearing the destruction he could bring otherwise?
My final note also covers that conversation, but it covers it in a different way from yours, so I'm not going to read it in response. The difference is that Atherin is a member of faith and capable of making his own decisions, so he's not forced to follow the orders of anybody, unlike Shin, who has to.
He does respond to the council, by extension, Durandal. So, yeah, I mean, he can say that he doesn't have to follow Gladys.
Well, I mean, there's a difference in that he's never been so far in direct conversation, direct contact during a mission for Durandal to give him implicit orders on something to do. Because otherwise, he still has his own wherewithal to do what he thinks is necessary to accomplish what he's been told. So unless Durandal is like actively on the line with him, micromanaging, then Atherin could still interpret orders as he sees fit.
But what happens if he has to, if his best decision is to go against that forces for whatever reason?
Then he would, because Durandal essentially gave him freedom to do so. That's how he brought Atherin on board. Essentially, you're someone that'll do what's best regardless of who's in charge of you or what you're told. He basically said, here's the authority, do what you will with it, with the knowledge that, hey, Atherin did this before, because he acknowledged, you've done this before with this power. The fact I'm giving it to you and all the authority you can manage is essentially carte blanche to go against me if you need to. I think that was one of the selling points that brought Atherin on board. I recognize what you did to Patrick. I need somebody like that under me now. Somebody who tell me or act against me should I go bad. And Atherin's like, hard to argue against that. That's like meta knowledge, right? This guy's genre savvy.
The question is, will he?
Oh, yeah. Of course. Why wouldn't he? He did it once. Why wouldn't he do it again?
Yeah, but then he's telling, Shin,
people being hypocritical. Good God. Yeah. What is this, like the invention of lying? This is first time it's ever happened.
Like, now when I say, like, the whole spiel is like, no, you gotta follow orders.
I'm going to cover my note now because I feel like we're talking about the same conversation, just in case. Yes. So Atherin giving this season's version of the someone you love is killed, and you kill the people that killed them, and then the people that loved them come after you. The main message of Gundam seed. This time, though, probably given to the person who probably needs to hear it more than the people that got it in the first season, since Shin seems set up for the path of revenge. Atherin's attempts to course-correct him could be for the best. Because that's what he said about the whole you get the power and you'll be the one making people cry, that whole conversation, is that you're going to get the power to, change everything so nothing happens to you the same way, or nothing happens to other people the same way it happened to you. But in that, you're going to be killing people. The whole Gundam seed speech that we've heard 4 times now. I mean, it's a good message. It's a really good message. Despite my inability to make it succinct, it's very succinct to every other Gundam message. And when it comes down to it, your point about will Athrun do it? Yeah, because that's the message of the show. That's what Athrun has learned, and that's what he's trying to pass on to Shin. When Athrun acts against, I think it would be for that reason. Athrun's not pointing out that, hey, we need to follow our orders because the chain of command is super important. He's saying, hey, we need to follow orders to make sure that innocent people don't get hurt, or that we don't cause more damage than good. I feel like he's operating within the realm of, I've learned my lessons from the First War, and you are acting impulsively because you're still hurt by what's happened. You haven't learned those lessons yet, and I'm trying to teach them to you through words, even though clearly, since this is a show, you're going to have to learn them through experience.
Yeah. Which I do have a note about that, which is probably my final note, but I'm not going to jump to it. I'm going to now move into Attack on Logren. And my first note is, Shin, you whiny little bitch.
Still probably the best character.
I mean, yeah, but still.
Yeah, no, that's what I said. Like, I said this was the worst episode. 10 solid minutes of Shin bitching and whining. Still, I think he's probably one of the better characters. I don't know. Athrun keeps moving up, in my opinion. Like, I thought he was better than Kira to begin with. It's just that, as per everything I just said about him trying to teach Shin the lessons that he's learned through words, which is never going to work, he is just becoming more of an adult in the room, in a room filled with self-important children, I feel like. So, my opinion of him keeps going up.
You have your note then?
No, I'm done. You're from now on out. I said I had like 8 notes and you had like 11, so...
Yeah. I suppose the elaborate canyon run XP was necessary since the Busty-Drum cannon is protected by a mobile armor that can reposition itself anywhere it wants, and the cannon itself can go underground. Still, an attack from multiple vectors, or simply one that destroyed the top of the mountain, would expose or bury the gun and be done with it.
I mean, disagree. I'm not on the back half, on the first half. Not necessary at all, and I've already told you during the reaction how stupid this was. I already had a note about how stupid this was. Literally a backside bombing run could have taken the thing out because it's got its power running up the mountain on the outside. This episode was unimportant. Worst episode of Gundam Seed Destiny so far. Hopefully, it does not get bested.
Yeah. My next note, my second to last. Athrun sees himself in Shin, and that is why he is invested in setting him straight before it is too late. I predict he will fail miserably at this. Like you said, he's trying to use words to teach him a lesson, but he'll have to learn the lesson the hard way through experience.
Sorry, it's like, with Gundam, I always feel like I need to invoke Kira and Zabi. We've got to send them a message, but not composed of words. Yeah, I don't know that I agree that he is the Athrun of the season.
Not the Athrun of the season necessarily.
Or that he sees Athrun in him, rather. Because there's elements of him that are not Athrun. Like, what he experienced on that beach, I don't think is comparable to Athrun losing his mom or Nicole. Sorry, his mom during Jaina 7 and Nicole during the fight with Kira. I don't think these are comparable events, and I don't feel like the emotion is the same. Because one is definitely of loss, but there's a certain amount of horror involved with Shin's that is not comparable to literally... Like, at worst, he saw Nicole chopped in half through a mobile suit, versus the shit Shin saw. That is... I'm surprised the dude was able to join the military, because, you know, he would have to re-experience that through simulations and shit all the time, you know, to go through combat training and whatnot. So,
and my last note: the revolution will not be civilized. The execution on the streets of prisoners of war shows that there's nothing clean or clear about war, especially when the combatants commit atrocities and war crimes. Another lesson Shin needed to learn.
I don't know. I think there's a difference between what was happening there and the war in general.
I mean, it's part of the war because this particular war specifically, there's an element of, I mean, there was before in Seed, but it was very much anti-Zaft, insurgency. Now the insurgents seem to be part of.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
planning.
It's the difference between the general war and, say, an insurgency rebel movement. Because these are, again, executions in the streets aren't happening as a... This goes back to the comment response section where I said that there's a particular personal nature to certain things happening and an impersonal nature to other things. Nuking the plants, for example, is literally button push. Don't have to think about the millions of people dying. It's too big of a number. Versus, not going to say the words I said then because it invokes some certain histories that we try to avoid invoking here. But literally shooting people on the streets one by one back of the head is very personal in nature, and that's something that Blue Cosmos tends to evoke when it's doing its shit. It likes to be impersonal, be professional, be civilized, even though it's invoking some very primitive Neanderthal level hatred in people. So that's the difference between the war effort and these insurgencies. The insurgencies, by their very nature, have to invoke that this is where I live, this is the things that have happened to the people that I love, I'm going to take you through it, because this is me. This is me, this isn't a thought experiment, this isn't a philosophy, this is the life I live, and you're going to see the consequences of that, and you're going to see our come up, I assume, as well.
Happens, yeah. Yeah, those are my notes.
All right, well, I guess if that's everything...
It is?
That's right, that's where you confirmed for me. Then let's go ahead and hop on into it.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button.
Hit that subscribe button.
Comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
Oh, this is gonna be like in Gundam 79, where they spend like 10 episodes showing, Operation British over and over again. Ah, Jibril again.
I mean, sort of. Last episode we also got the recap, but they're not the same recaps.
Yeah.
しかしこれはあくまでも積極的自衛権の行使だということを決して忘れないでいただきたい。今再び手に取るその銃が今度こそ全ての戦いを終わらせるためのものとなることを
Patrick thought the same thing.
切に願います。
The weapon in his hand, he wanted to end all battles by eliminating the enemy 100%. Again, that's a very confusing shot. The guy with the thing bandaged across his eyes, the soldier that's holding him from behind is also crying. It doesn't invoke, like, this is a horrible, they're not holding us against their will. It seems like he doesn't want to do it either. Also, she's a weird Kigali stand-in. She's very cute, but if she doesn't show up again, have Kigali do something cool. Don't make new characters.
Yeah.
Ah, Diokola, the home of a vampire. I was saying from the beginning that
there you go.
Luna Maria was going to be a love interest. That's why I keep saying that she's going to die. So we made a fake Mr. Pink, too? Oh, dropped, all dead.
Again with a smirk.
What if he only smirked when things are going bad? Like, this is all against my plan. Yeah, Athrun.
Why-
You knew it was Mirror all the time. I guess maybe he didn't expect her to be going like on a tour of Zaft Earth bases.
Yeah.
Like maybe he was like, it's cool. She's only going to be up here where she's safe and nothing's going to happen. And I was like, or maybe he's just surprised that she's in a mobile suit. Well, she's technically not in the mobile suit. She's on the mobile suit. She's the George Carlin joke come to life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Get in the plane.
Also,
get on the plane.
notice
Fuck you. I
what
said get in the plane.
You notice how when Athrun comes in, Luna Maria runs to her, and then Mirroring is like,
I know. You said it right when it happened.
Yeah. Like,
that's why I was pointing out the whole conversation I had before about Luna Maria, in previous episodes, being the love interest, but obviously she's never depicted in the opening or the outro as the love interest. Yeah. And the whole thing I covered about her walking away from her sister and there being a mirror to Bad Girl in Marius, where Bad Girl ends up dying, that I think Luna Maria being a Zaku pilot, and her sister being on the ship with all the main characters, she's going to be the one that dies.
We saw like Kigali confronting Athrun and like they were going at fighting.
That's once again you're conflating two different characters. That's not who you think it is. But we'll be watching a second episode today, so just remember it by the time we get to the next episode. Hopefully, this episode will be so boring you won't forget.
Yeah. The hidden truth.
She might be my favorite character. I don't know. If she does more poses like that, I'll be all down for it. Yeah, I love that from the last one, too, is that there's always the crowd accompaniment to her songs.
I like the song.
I told you. I looked it up. Also, Mr. Pink is very red on her mobile suit. I guess technically, though, she doesn't have the actual Mr. Pink, so she had to make her own.
Also, the booby bounces.
Which is funny, because Athrun makes the horrors here, so... Sorry, it looks like Android 16 dyed his hair.
Yeah. I guess somebody's piloting. Yeah, somebody's inside, I guess the regular people also like Lacus too.
Well, yeah, that's the point. The Athrun harem.
それに今度衣装もなんかバリバリ。
ご存知なかったんですか？おいでになること。
まあいや。
まあちゃんと連絡取り合っていられる状況じゃなかったですもんね。きっとお二人とも。
いや、まあ。
So she doesn't know.
Well, come on, grab the other arm. Let's do this. No? Alright.
Yeah, it's a whole crush thing.
Of course, Arthur.
Yeah.
He's a comedy relief character, but I only really pick it up when it's in English. So much easier to figure out that he's comedy in English. Can't wait to hear this in English. Wow, dude's got an arm.
Yeah.
It's feathers. It's flowers. No, wait, you had to really throw.
Yeah. Somebody went like...
Well, yeah, because, I mean, essentially like 18 meters away. No, we're fans too. I don't know, they're after Fra for some reason.
Are they gonna try to assassinate her?
I doubt it. But it does imply that the boat's nearby.
あまあちょっ
Blackest client's alive.
とやれやれだな
You read it here first.
Yeah, these guys wouldn't be here
楽しそうじゃん
unless they're planning an attack.
I doubt that. Remember, this is like a mirror to Atherin's subterfuge orb. They didn't attack orb, they just went in and got out.
ネオはその気だろ俺たちにとって重要なのはこの戦争の行く末とかじゃない要はやれるかやられるか
Maybe this is how Stella meets Atherin. Sorry, Shin. This is how Stella meets Shin.
なのにここんとこずっと黒星だろあの船に関しては負けてはいないぜ
I mean, you have. Many times.
やれなきゃな分かってんだろ
Wonder what their code words are. They all got them.
Mm-hmm. Seems like a code phrase.
ファントムペインに負けは許せれね
But you've been losing all. No, you won getting the Gundams, and that's it. You lost every time.
That's what I just
Well, I
said.
guess you got away. Yeah.
Getting away is not win.
呆れたものですわね
It's just not the
こん
ultimate
なところに
loss.
おいでとは
驚いたかね。
ええ驚きましたともまあ今に始まったことじゃありませんけど
元気そうだね。活躍は聞いている。嬉しいよ。キル。こうしてゆっくり会えるのも久しぶりだな。
Are they in a three-way? Is Ray his son? What's going on here?
I don't know.
Maybe they are in a three-way. She's giving the eyes. That makes me feel like I don't like this
Yeah.
three-way, but we're in one.
Mm.
Polycule, sorry, is the word I meant to use.
Yeah.
でも何ですの
ん
大西洋連邦に何か動きでもでなければ
Could he be
あ
their
なた
son?
もわざわざおいでになったりはしないでしょ
Maybe. Although, why would she look that way at him if that was the case?
お呼びになったミネルヴァのパイロットたちです
いやあ、
Why would they be invited first? You know.
Why would he be serving on the ship his mother commands? That seems like a bit of a conflict
Yeah.
as well.
議長
Or an older sister or something?
Why don't they share a name? How about that, too?
シン・アスカです。
君のことはよく覚えているよ。
I literally got you in the impulse.
Yeah.
It was my word that put you in that thing. Instead of Ray, in fact. We know that, too. Well, Ray said that.
Yeah, but the way he, why the
ありがとうございま
Everyone's
す。
so happy.
yeah.
例のローエングリンゲートでも素晴らしい活躍だったそうだね。君は。
いえ、
Yeah, the stupid attack that shouldn't
青
happen
森
that
湾で
way.
の発信が初陣だったというのに大したものだ。
あれはザラ隊長の作戦がすごかったんです。俺、いえ、自分はただそれに従っただけで。
He's not buying it. Yeah. You were whining all the way through that, you
君た
lying
ちが
little
ここを
shit.
落としてくれたおかげだ。いやあ、本当によくやってくれた。
ありがとうございます
Something weird is happening here.
ともかく今は世界中が実に複雑な状態でね。
空の方は今どうなってますの月の地球軍などは
We destroyed two of their bases. I think we're
時折小規模な戦闘はあるが、まあそれだけだ。そして地上は地上で何がどうなっているのかさっぱりわからん。この辺りの都市のように連合に抵抗し、我々に助けを求めてくる地域もあるし、一体何をやっているのかね、我々は。
Yeah, don't put it that way. You know exactly what you're doing.
ありませんの
残念ながらね。
Let me say that. We don't actually know exactly what he's doing.
戦争などしていたくはないが、それではこちらとしてもどうにもできんさ。
For all we know, since we know Seed is inspired by Mobile Suit Gundam,
Yeah.
he could be the mirror of Degwin, and it could be all in the up and up.
戦わない道を選ぶということは、戦うと決めるよりはるかに難しいものさ。 やはり。
でも、
ん？
あ、すみません。
いや、構わんよ。思うことがあったのなら遠慮なく言ってくれたまえ。実際前線で戦う君たちの意見は貴重だ。私もそれを聞きたくて。
Yeah, remember I spoke up about your generation and how you should have a chance. I'm literally your most powerful advocate.
確かに戦わないようにすることは大切だと思います。でも敵の脅威があるときは仕方ありません。戦うべきときには戦わないと。何一つ自分たちすら。
Yeah, but Durandal already gave that thought to Kigali in like the first and second episode.
平和に暮らしている人たちは守られるべきです。しかしそうやって殺されたから殺して殺したから殺されて
Ah, here we go.
それで本当に最後は平和になるのかと
The message of Gundam
言
seed.
われたことがあります。私はその時答えることができませんでした。そして今もまだその答えを見つけられないまままた戦場にいます。
そう。
I mean, that's my main worry, is that they're gonna make up an answer that's, you know, not real.
なぜ我々はこうまで戦い続けるのか。なぜ戦争はこうまでなくならないのか。戦争は嫌だといつの時代も人は叫び続けているのにね。
Because people with power want power, and that's when they generate power.
But we both had different thoughts. I was gonna say, if you spend at least like a small portion of what you're obviously spending on the military on like public works, people without want won't want and probably won't inflict their desire on others.
違いますか。
いや、まあそうだね。それもある。誰かの持ち物が欲しい。
Sounds familiar.
自分たちと違う、憎い、怖い、間違っている。そんな理由で戦い続けているのも確かだ。人は。だが、もっとどうしようもない、救いようのない一面もあるのだよ。戦争には。例えばあの機体 ZGMF X2000 グフイグナイテッド。
So now we've got a goof. We had Zaku's and a goof.
今は戦争中だからね。こうして新しい機体が次々と作られ
Oh, is that the gold one I mentioned in my opening
戦
breakdown?
場ではミサイルが撃たれ、モビルスーツが撃たれ、さまざまなものが破壊されていく。故に工場では次々と新しい機体を作り、ミサイルを作り、戦場へ送る。両軍ともね。生産ラインは要求に追われ追いつかないほどだ。
議長。
その一機一体の価格を考えてみてくれ。
Wow, it's like that thing I said.
これをただ産業
Me and Durandal, we're simpatico.
これほど回転が良く、また利益の上がるものは他にないだろう。
議長、そんなお話。
でもそれは。
そう。戦争である以上それは当たり前。仕方のないことだ。
I'm making a lot of money out of this, for
そうい
sure.
うものはそれで儲かると分かると逆も考えるものさ。これも仕方のないことでね。
逆ですか。
戦争が終われば兵器はいらない。それでは儲からない。だが戦争になれば自分たちは儲かるのだ。ならば戦争はそんな彼らにとってはぜひともやってほしいこととなるのではないのかね。
And thanks to the last war, they're the people with all the money.
あれは敵だ。
But I guess that's also what Logos is then?
戦おう。
Logos is the people in charge of war production?
ずっとそう人々に叫び、常に産業として戦争を考え作ってきた者たちがいるのだよ。
The worst face to
自分
pause
たち
on.
の利益のためにね。 今度のこの戦争の裏にも間違いなく彼らロゴスがいるだろう。
So yeah, I was right.
彼らこそがあのブルーコスモスの母体でもあるのだからね。
そんなロゴス。
It's weird that Durandal is the one saying Logos now, since we've never heard him
But
have any connection to it.
プラントと地球はこれからも戦い続け
I'd hate if Durandal turns out to be a member of Logos and this is all just like an internal plan. Well, you
Well,
know,
internal
the
conflict
best
is-
way to keep the war going is to make ourselves the enemy, and then they'll have to fight us, and then we'll have to sell all of our machines.
Something so mundane as money.
だがそれこ
But,
そ
you know.
何より本当に難しいのだよ。
The cause of and solution to all of life's problems.
これ待ってな。
And she wants to see Arthur. Whoa, okay.
ええ、休暇なんだし。議長のせっかく
Seems like they're gonna leap out of her chest and keep
言
going.
葉に甘えて、今日はこちらでゆっくりさせていただきなさい。確かに、それくらいの
Yeah, they
働き
haven't
の時は
explained what's the relationship between Durandal and what's his
そう
name?
させていただけ。
Ray,
シ
yeah.
モルナマリアも。カンには俺が、カンには私が戻ります。隊長もどうぞこちらで。いや、それは。報酬を受け取るべきミネルヴァのエースは隊長とシンです。そしてルナマリアは女性ですので、私の言っていることは順当です。
Okay, sure. A little bit of sexism, why not?
み
Don't say her. Well,
お疲れ様でした。
ありがとうございます。ホテルにおいでと聞いて急いで戻ってまいりましたのよ。
み
I guess it's an easy to flummox name, right? You say me, and it's
今日のステージは見てくださいました？
Hey, she's just so happy. She's like
本当に？
the Lacus I thought Lacus was going to be.
ええ
Yeah, she's a, I don't know. I feel like she's a tryhard.
彼らにも
So
今日はここに泊まって
I hate people that denigrate
どう
tryhards.
ぞ久しぶりに
So they tried hard. So what?
本当ですの？それは嬉しいですわ。あつら、では早速。
Yeah, but she's also fake as well, so.
その
She's
前
not
に
fake.
ちょっといい
Yeah, she is.
I mean, she's faking that she's pretending to be somebody, but she's not faking the element that she's not actually also kind of that person.
のことなのだがね。君も聞いてはいるだろう？
はい。
あの船がオーブを出たその後どこへ行ったのか。もしかしたら君なら知っているのではないかと思って。
Based on what?
いえ
Been with the Minerva this whole
か
time.
かっているのですが
Yeah.
私の方でも何も。私の方こそそれを議長にお聞きしてみたいと思って
Since you know so much more than you'd expect.
Yeah.
そうか。いや、アークエンジェルとフリーダムがオーブを出たというのなら、彼女を本物のラックスクラインももしや一緒ではないかと思ってね。
はい。
Guess Kira found out how to mess with the Haru.
キラがいえ、あの船が出るのにラクスを置いていくはずはありません。
こんな情勢の時だ。本当に彼女がプラントに戻ってくれればと私もずっと探しているのだがね。
Oh, yes, you have
こんな
searching
こと
for
ばかり
her.
繰り返す我々に彼女はもう呆れてしまったのだろうか。いや、
So I guess Mr. Red?
だが今後
Considering Blue, the blue one was called Mr. Blue, I think there's a common name let's play here.
その時は私にも知らせてくれ。
Mr. Pink, Mr. Red, Mr. Blue, Mr. White.
わかりました。議長の方もお願いいたします。
Science, bitch.
行方
Sorry,
がわ
you
か
said
りました
Mr. White, I couldn't.
その時には私にも連絡を。
ああ、わかった。そうしよう。
He is, in fact.
Again,
not
I
going to
don't
let it.
think that we can negate yet the thought process that he might be honest. In which case, Lacus and him would get along.
Oh, did he hear the conversation?
I doubt it.
I don't think so.
I mean, he probably just saw them all out there in the thing together.
Mm-hmm.
Just an element of them all being together being weird. Also, yeah, she's right next to Atherin.
So, yeah. Again, I'm thinking that Randall's trying to... These meetings are not accidental.
Something very telling about who crosses paths on this.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it depends. Obviously, this isn't accidental in that they're all came to the same location on purpose.
Yeah.
And then he invited them to the mansion.
And then he invited to have a conversation with him, but Mir is there. Why is Mir there?
To see Atherin.
Yeah, but he could say, excuse me,
also to give
we're going to have a
to give a concert.
Yeah, no, but in that final conversation, when they were talking...
まだ何もそれが全てと笑えた場所にそれともそれこそが夢か忘れ得ぬその甘さをつてに人は幸福のありかを探す求めてやまぬその指に全てが再び戻る日は次回機動戦士ガンダムシードデスティニー
Oh, how they train together. Literally, the past.
Well, it's that element of the HD remaster where we saw them. Well, we saw him and his family running for the thing, but we didn't see them die. And then we saw them graduating from the academy. Scenes that were added to the HD remaster of Season 1 that weren't in the movie, I don't think.
Oh, no. I don't remember that.
Well, because I know they were like 2 to 3 seconds a piece. So they were just added real quick. But I don't know. I guess the idea here being Shin is that guy. Shin's the guy.
Yeah.
He is the embodiment of person gets hurt, they're going to hurt somebody else, and then that person is going to try and hurt them. He's in the middle step. He is the embodiment of the message. And if we can get him to not go after somebody, if we can stop him in the middle, whatever it does that is itself the solution. Yeah, it's what is it called? The thing that they do to try and help autistic kids that have a hard time dealing with outside stimuli. It's a certain kind of therapy, behavioral therapy or something like that.
I'm sure it's behavioral, but I don't.
No, I think that's the name. That's probably the name of what I'm going for here. That there's some sort of, it's an interactive. It's something that constantly needs to be done to help them along the process of developing into a person that can deal with the outside world in a way that's conducive to dealing with the outside world. I'm using it as an example because it's the kind of always there presence that I feel would be necessary for helping a population, say, move on from the hurt and desire for, you might say justice, other people might say vengeance, to the people that hurt them.
I would make a difference between justice and vengeance.
I know I'm saying that there's no real difference, though.
I would say there is.
Yeah, and then you're going to continue the war. That's what I'm saying is that...
No,
let me finish. Let me finish. Bite it in. I know I never shut up, but at least give me just one moment. That if the problem is that you're constantly seeking justice for what's happened, and the other side isn't letting you have that, then you're going to hurt more people anyway. The cycle continues no matter how real it is, right? That if justice is exactly what you think it is, you're going to have to hurt people to enact that justice. And that is going to continue the ball moving. That sometimes, I guess maybe sucking it in and realizing that not everybody gets what the world's not fair is the only way to ensure that the world continues rolling on without everyone killing each other.
No, because I think the pain will remain. That's the thing.
The pain can remain, but if you can move past it.
The way you move past this is that you have a sense of justice. Because revenge is just straight up, I want to hurt this person. That's it. Justice is about a conclusion, bringing something to a close. If the wound is left open, then the grievances do not disappear, and they can be passed on generation to generation, because you can say, hey, this happened, learn from it, we can still do something about it. Because that's the thing the promise of a new conflict is a promise of being able to do something to rectify what already happens. If you bring justice to it, it's like, yeah, it may not be pretty, it not may satisfy everybody, but we did something about it. We confronted the situation and are able now to move on.
Justice,
right?
though, is just one answer. And,
One of
and
many.
the problem is that I feel like you're saying that justice, constantly in these discussions that we have, I feel like you're saying justice is the only answer. And I'm saying that in the pursuit of justice, because you're saying justice is the only way to close those wounds. I'm saying, I'm offering the fact that maybe therapy and there are other means to close those wounds without seeking the natural end that we are accustomed to as a people. That, again, that you're inciting more violence in the pursuit of justice because justice is right. Because justice is right, but at the same time, sometimes justice is also unattainable. And perhaps you shouldn't pursue, or you shouldn't throw everything out in the pursuit of justice. Maybe all the people that die in the fight in pursuit of justice didn't have to die, because you could get over it with therapy and other means to let everything be.
The thing is, and this is the thing is, you also need things like systemic reform and stuff like that. Justice is part of systemic reform. You also, like Durandal was saying, there are people who profit from them. They're the ones that are actually inciting and exploiting.
Well, you're moving on, though. We're not on that topic yet. That's something else to talk about from this episode. I'm just talking about the debate between justice being the only means to move past things. That maybe you just have to live with the world not being fair. That the wound you can heal other ways. You can focus your attentions, your pain and your sorrow into helping others, or I don't know. I'm not a therapist. I'm just saying that the pursuit of justice is the continuation of war or conflict.
I would say the pursuit of revenge, but...
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Revenge and justice are a very thin tightrope walk. It's what's legal versus what is fair, right? You say, that person hurt me and my family. They had no right to do so. I'm going to make this right. And being right doesn't always mean right. So,
and also, I think you're conflating also individual action with group or systemic action as well, right? Because if I go out of my way and I break all the rules and seek my own justice, I'm seeking revenge, right? I'm just doing it to satisfy my own personal form of hate. Justice implies a group decision and a group acceptance.
No, I'm not talking about individuals. Bring this back to the debate that we had, say, about Mobile Suit Gundam, about what if Dagwin had signed the peace treaty, and you're like, no, fuck that. These people deserve to be made to pay for their crimes. We need to find justice. And I'm saying that if they sign the peace treaty, we move on, the war is over, and say they don't get held accountable for their crimes, justice is not met.
There will be another war.
Yeah, but that's what you're saying. But what if the people don't agree with that? You have to find your own group. You have to find the Zala faction of Mobile Suit Gundam to try and enact your own justice. I'm saying justice doesn't have to come from the legal authority. That's what I'm saying. Justice and revenge are kind of so close to one another, sometimes it's hard to tell what's actually happening here. You think these people need to be held accountable. Justice has to be had to the point that you're willing to start killing more people, in which case the cycle continues. That maybe justice isn't the end-all answer. That maybe things don't get made right, but they get made something. The answer to the question of what's the answer to Mobile Suit Gundam Seed's dilemma is, that's what I've said before, is there's no real way to end this, so I don't know what the show is going to come up with, but I hope it's not something that's convoluted and unrealistic. And it really feels like the answer that they're going to come to is therapy, because maybe if you can move past it, even knowing that things aren't fair, that you might still not go out to kill people to seek a vengeance or justice or whatever. And at the end of the day, not killing people is the goal.
Oh no, the end of the goal should be to end war. because you can kill other people, right? And be, within
well,
the
no,
system,
again, the
right?
message
And
of Gundam seed,
them.
the message of Gundam seed is
Yeah.
you hurt somebody, they seek vengeance, and you end up getting hurt yourself, etc. So I think the greater message is against violence, not just war, violence itself, because they're not talking on like a national level or an insurgency level. They're just saying you hurt somebody, they're going to try and hurt you back, or the loved ones of that person are going to hurt you back. It's a very personal level that they're bringing everything, because I think when you bring it to the previous conversations about the Jokerism, right? You kill 100 people, it's just a newspaper article. You kill one person, people show up at the funeral, that sort of thing. Then when you break it down on a very personal level, people understand it. And if you can get the people to understand on a personal level, it might come together on a group level.
Yeah, but I think it kind of gets off the hook the actual people who are responsible for this, or at least people who benefit and profit from it, because they can still do it. They still can do it, right? If you do not make a situation where they cannot profit from what they're doing,
if you, as everybody, look, it's a 1%er issue, right? If everybody beneath them agrees that we're going to do whatever it is that they decide to do, even outside of justice, right? Even if they don't made to be held accountable, I don't think hundreds of people dying to make sure 5 people, receive justice is not a good trade-off. But if everyone agrees to whatever the system is that they come up with here, and those people get left off the hook and get to live the rest of their lives peaceful and free, not having to be paid for their crimes, all the debts of their hands, still an amazing trade-off. World peace, 5 criminals go free. Great trade-off. Take it any day of the week. I don't need everybody to be held accountable. Yeah. Well, actually, I don't think it's unrealistic. I mean, certainly one person in 8 billion is going to try and take matters into their own hands. People are born crazy, but I'm just saying, I will take world peace over the perpetrators of the war coming to justice. I think it's a great trade-off. The hundreds of maybe thousands of people dying a day in this war are not worth the leaders of the war. I would stop all those people from dying versus justice any day.
I think you're just trading present deaths for future deaths.
Well, no, because I'm also tying that to a world that has come together on this matter, not a. Okay, maybe what I should say is eternal peace versus justice. I will take eternal peace. Maybe not eternal peace. Maybe 100 years of peace. I know that's I can't say that out loud. That'd be a spoiler. I will say, yeah, even 100 years of peace. Because I think that was something that was... Nope, spoiler. This film's difficult. I would say 100 years of peace versus justice is still a trade-off that I would take. That's, a number of generations of kids not growing up with war and violence. Hell, they even cover that in One Piece, funny enough. That we have to keep our racism away from the kids so the kids don't grow up with racism so that they won't invoke that in their kids and the people around them. That sort of thing. That there's more of a chance of avoiding this thing if we don't expose everyone to it all the time.
I'm not going to continue because we're going to go back and forth forever.
Round and round. Love will find a way, just give it time.
What I wanted to say was, in that final scene, right? What's interesting is that Arthur is having a conversation with Durandal, and yet Mir is there. Mir didn't have to be there. She just was.
Mir's a bubble-headed fool. She just wanted to be there.
And well, they could have said no, please. We're gonna. I mean, they
said hold your horses.
Yeah, they could say, "Oh, we're gonna have this conversation. We'll talk to you later, or whatever." They could have done that.
You tell Lacus Klein no.
Why not? I mean, Durandal can because he knows who she is, and
Durandal clearly doesn't, though.
Durandal created her. He knows he's Mir.
You went the wrong way with that. I said he clearly doesn't, as though clearly doesn't tell her no.
He should though. But I think the reason why it's not a mistake. It's not like she was allowed to be there. Durandal wants her to be there so that she serves as an influence over Athrun. The way Athrun reacted to when he saw her was like, like he knows that in spite of what Athrun is with Cagalli, which was a conversation they were having, right? And I love to know about Cagalli and where she's doing, because actually he was focused on the actual Lacus. Like, I like to know because I like to come back to the plants. It's like, you want to have 2 Lacuses?
Would be amazing.
And that wouldn't work from his position.
I mean, we know, again, I pointed out in the opening ending breakdowns that they're standing next to each other. And so I have to think that eventually they're going to come together and this is going to be a Rankia Cheryl situation.
Yeah.
They're just going to come together. But at the end of the day, bubble-headed Mir who's faking Lacus and serious Lacus who faked being bubble-headed, I think are just going to come together and be a great team.
Anyway,
you don't like that?
I don't think
comparison.
I don't think she's actually bubble-headed at all. I think she's also faking it.
Disagree.
Yeah, and the thing is, he's using her to continue to gaslight and influence Athrun. Is he thinking, you haven't gotten over the fact that she was your fiance and she dumped you for Kira?
Two things. Two things. Legitimately not gaslighting because he knows everything. You can't gaslight somebody who knows, literally, this is fake. I know your name. I literally know your backstory. Durandal told me everything too. And 2, God, you do not see all the comments from me and Justin reacting that I'm still reading. Everyone keeps telling me they're not actually in love. It was an arranged thing. They both know it wasn't going anywhere. Because all the hatred I keep throwing out about Lacus running off with Kira and just, leaving Athrun behind. Everyone keeps throwing out, no, they're not actually in love. It's not a thing. One, disagree, because it's never shown anywhere.
This shows clearly that he still has some feelings for her. Whether they're misguided feelings in the sense of she reminds me of, and he knows, he's like, Mir. It's like, why am I'm betting that he's gonna be things like, why am I constantly thinking about Mir? Oh shit, kind of thing situation. Yeah, it's gonna be like that.
I don't know.
Of course, and we have the answer to the question said before, which is the whole thing is that both of the Hawk sisters are hot for Athrun, basically.
Can't wait till one turns out to be pregnant with Ray's kid.
We don't know what race connection. We might.
I don't believe it's actually happening. I believe it's obvious that it's a whole Athrun thing. But hey, shot in the dark. Yeah. It's still out there. Bullets traveling. Space has no friction. But yeah, no. I mean, I just disagree on most of your viewpoints about Mir. She's a good girl, giving concerts. Really wanted to see Athrun. Obviously, there's no gaslighting involved because everybody knows everything about the real situation.
Everybody knows.
Yeah.
Well, the 3 people there know.
Everyone involved knows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, obviously, I don't know why you would jump to me talking about Ray knows or Luna Maria knows. No, everybody in the situation knows.
Okay, the gaslighting actually would be about Durandal's concerns for Cagalli. It's like, no, concerns for Lacus. If it turns out that Kira was right about Durandal's actually trying to kill Lacus as opposed to just, wanting to be back with us because, hey, maybe he doesn't want anything to do with us.
As I said, if he is actually being honest, then Lacus and him would actually get along, I feel like.
Yeah, but the thing is, why he didn't reach out to her before?
She was an orb.
I mean, Cagalli came from Orb to talk to him.
Yeah.
He could have sent him.
Cagalli came from Orb to talk to him.
Yeah, he could have sent somebody to Orb and go like, hey, you see anybody see Lacus?
Also, I guess there's the element that Lacus is a private citizen and not fully responsible for answering a government call.
He went through the whole process of creating a fake Lacus. He couldn't just reach out to Lacus and be like, listen, I need your help. Unless maybe he did, and he's lying about it, and she turned him down.
Could also be the element that Lacus Klein is a trademarked name that he has the authority to use the likeness of.
Is it?
It could be. The same way that, like when you get signed up for a sports team or whatever, you sign away your likeness to be used in video games and whatnot. So that was a big old thing. That like college kids not getting credit for their own likenesses in video games and trying to the whole legal matter about that. So could be that Lacus doesn't own her own likeness, and this is like a loophole that Durandal is using. Again, using legal loopholes doesn't automatically make you the bad guy, especially if he's using it for a good reason.
Creating a whole fake Lacus, I think it's at best doing the wrong thing for the right reasons.
I don't know it's doing the wrong thing either. I know it's like a dubious proposition that putting out a fake person
and fooling everybody, and
Yeah, but I mean, it could be for a good reason.
Well,
it's just a morally gray thing for a good reason. I don't know that it's wrong. Because for one thing, he's not hurting Lacus's image. He's continuing Lacus's image. Lacus, or Mir as Lacus, hasn't said anything that I don't feel like Lacus herself wouldn't say.
No.
That's what I'm saying. So he's not hurting the image. He's not having her be like, as it turns out, I've changed my mind and the Earth Alliance should die. And everyone's like, yeah. It's like, no, she's still calling for peace, the end of the war. I hope everyone's doing okay. It's like, still essentially the Lacus message. All he's changed is the outfit and the songs. So, again, it doesn't feel like he's doing anything negative. Because assumedly, if everyone does believe she's Lacus, he could have gone... He didn't have to, like, build new brand credit with her or anything. He could have immediately had new Lacus say whatever speaking point he wants her to say. There's no reason for her to change it down the road if everyone believes that she's old Lacus.
I mean, maybe he wants her to say these things now, setting up people up for the change later on.
That's what I'm saying. He doesn't have to. There's no... To everyone's opinion, this is old Lacus. There is no change. So she could say any voice point he wants her to say at any time. There's no setup required.
Oh, the setup is that he controls Lacus, basically. That's the setup.
No, I'm saying there's no setup for the public, right? If I somehow like completely copied you with AI and then tomorrow recorded a reaction with AI you, and it was so one for one, nobody could tell the difference, right? I wouldn't have to like start putting out 100 episodes before I built up brand recognition of AI you to have you say what I want you to say. I could just do it tomorrow. There's no reason, right? Same thing with Lacus. There's no need to build up brand recognition. Everyone considers her to be old Lacus. Old Lacus can say whatever she wants at any time.
Except that she... Well, no, because then they would question who's the real Lacus. As if the old Lacus shows up and says, hey, by the way...
Sorry, you're misreading me again. When I say old Lacus, I mean people's perception, not the person. Everyone's viewing Mir as old Lacus. So when I say old Lacus can say anything she wants at any time, people's perception is Mir can say anything she wants at any time.
Which is what
she's old Lacus.
This is what Durandal wants. He wants control.
But no, I'm saying he's had that from moment one. Because everyone thought from moment one, this is Lacus. This is old Lacus. Yes. So the fact that he's not having her do anything, he's not hurting Lacus's brand. He's not making her say propaganda or anything. She's doing exactly what old Lacus would do.
Until he, because he doesn't need to do it right away. He'll do it eventually when he needs to. He's playing the long game.
There's no need for the long game, is what I'm saying. If he had a plan, he could have moment one.
Well, maybe the situation hasn't come out the what. Maybe this is all part of his plan, and the conditions are not ripe yet for the change.
Oh, I hate it when the villains know exactly how many episodes they have to invoke their plan. Sorry, I was introduced in episode 1. I've got 48 more episodes before I either win or lose this.
Anyway, those are my thoughts.
Oh, you didn't want to touch the Logos thing at all?
No, I don't. Because The only thing is, how does Durandal know that logos exist? But it seems everybody recognizes that name, except maybe for Chin or Athrin. It was like, oh yeah, logos. Yeah,
Like,
we
we
heard about
missed
that.
something.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I mean, how does everybody know? Unless
'Cause they
everyone's just
basically said-
very familiar with mythology.
Yeah, but they say, oh, they're the heart of, because they say, oh, it's Blue Sun. It's like, yeah, and the heart of Blue Sun is logos,
Blue
so
Cosmos.
we have to deal with, yeah, Blue Cosmos. So it's like, okay,
Blue Sun is
sure.
Star Wars, isn't it? No, it's Black
Yeah.
Sun.
Black Suns, yeah. Blue Suns is Mass Effect.
Star Wars. Yes, sorry, yeah, it's the mercenary group from Mass Effect. It's like, oh, Mass Effect, Star Wars. No, fuck, I just said Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what's his
So
name
there's
is a
that.
member of it?
Saeed.
Was
Oh,
he?
Blue- oh,
No, it's the
or-
guy who's always working on the weapons.
Yeah, that's Saeed.
No, Saeed. No, I guess technically Saeed is also working on the weapons. I'm talking about Saeed's working on his own weapons. I'm talking about the weapons of the ship.
That would be...
Famously, you always go there to talk to him, and he's working on the weapons.
He was never a member of Blue Suns.
He's... In Mass Effect 2, when you go to get him, he's a former member who they're currently fighting.
No. He has his own team. He's not a former member of any of those guys. He was stopping their operations. in
Either way,
Omega.
you still haven't named him. Just fucking name him. You're the Mass Effect guy.
Garrus. Garrus, like Vicarian.
Yeah, okay. It's like,
Garrus was never a member of Blue Suns.
Difficulty is he wears a blue outfit, so it's very confusing.
Yeah,
especially in the fight with the Blue Sun guys. Well, technically all three different mercenary groups. But anyway, all right, I guess that's it for this episode. We're going to end it on a Mass Effect note. Once again, I have been Theta. This has been Lessons. We've been Stone Face Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stone-Faced Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?